Thank you. This is Samantha Bounkeua on the violin and Michael Simmons on the cello. My name is Chris Black. I'm the founder and artistic director of ChamberLab, a concert series here in town. I wrote that piece. It's called Schizophrenia. It's from actually a collection of very short duets that I wrote called the Downtown Suite, which is about things that I happen to see downtown sometimes, and sometimes I see schizophrenia. But, so that said, it would be easy to imagine that, oh, well, there's a classical music composer guy, and he's going to talk about being a classical music composer, because that's what he is. But in fact, that's not the case. I have no background in this at all. I'm an infiltrator. I'm from like rock band background, Irish beer drinking waltzes background, all kinds of things, but not classical music. So what I do is I creep out in the dead of night and I sneak over the wall that separates classical music from all the other kinds of music in the world. And I kidnap good players like this out of the concert halls and I drag them back over to my side of the wall and I take them to a rock club or someplace like that and I say, hey, will you play this thing that I wrote? And they do. And I'm very lucky and it's unbelievable, and that's what ChamberLab is about. It's about getting music from unusual sources, finding amazing people to play it, and then putting it on in non-traditional venues, and that helps us find a new audience. So I'll start with the first thing first, the unusual sources, the composers. Most classical music, if you go out and listen to it, you will find that it's probably been written by a dead genius. And I'm not a dead genius. Yet. But I wanted to write chamber music. And there's a parallel in this. Back in the 70s, a bunch of kids that didn't know how to play music at all wanted to play music, and they got electric guitars, and their trick was they turned it up really loud, they played it really fast, and it was punk rock. A whole new thing was born out of people that really shouldn't have been able to do that. No one told them they could, and they didn't go to school for it. This is sort of that idea. It's garage classical. It's people that play in bands, like I do, and want to write for chamber people. Now in a band, a song, you bring it and it's a piece of paper with letters written on it, like E, A, and then E again, right? That's my new song. And then everyone kind of makes up their own part as they go along. In classical music, you have to write every single note. Every single note must be written down. And that is a real learning curve for a lot of us who have never done anything like that before. And it's been tremendously rewarding. I have about 5 or 6 composers besides myself who contribute frequently or all the time, and we have about that same sort of background. Now, because we're writing music for people that play really well, we tend to write stuff that we can't play at all ourselves because we're just not that good. That's what leads us to part 2. We have to go into classical land and we have to find people to come out and play for us. And when the first concert, I put out the word, and the first 3 people, I said, who would like to do this with us? And the first 3 people that showed up were bassoonists. And I said, well, all right, I'll write a bassoon trio. And I did, and one of those bassoonists is here in the house tonight. Cassandra was one of the very first. And I'm not sure why they do it, but I have a theory. But before I go into the theory part of it, I think we should play another piece. I'm going to do a duet now with Samantha. And as you can see, I gave myself all the breaks, and I gave her the really hard stuff. And the other benefit of not being schooled in it is when I write really super hard stuff, I can be like, well, I didn't know, I'm sorry. Thank you. Well, anyway, why would they do that? My theory is that they just love music so much. They've been practicing and practicing. And here I'm saying they, I'm talking about trained classical people, as opposed to my background, which is just sort of rock guys that hang out in the garage and drink a lot of beer. But they practice and they practice and they practice. So the idea of showing up with opportunities to play must be refreshing, and it must be really nice. That's my theory. Does that, you just love music? Is that?
I love music.
All right, they love music. It's settled. Right. She also hates it. So it's inconclusive. Also with us, we're very kind of quick and we're very informal, and we sort of put concerts on a dime, and there's not a board of directors and there's not committee meetings and there's not a lot of the formality that goes into other opportunities to play concert music. Also, we get to play in fun places, which is the third thing, the venue, which is what makes us unusual. By a show of hands, who has gone to see a classical music performance in the past year in a concert hall? Okay, a fair number, but not a whole lot. I go quite frequently, and I think that they're not as fun as they could be just because of the context, just because of the environment. It's kind of in a chair, and people maybe don't go out very often to classical shows, feel constrained or odd or like they should wear a tie or what have you. We bring it elsewhere. Now, for example, a punk rock club or something. A live music venue is full of music lovers 7 nights a week. That's where they go and they hang out and they love to see bands and they love music, and that's what they do. So when we show up with string quartets or we show up with bassoon trios or what have you, well, guess what? They love music. They like it. They're excited. I didn't know. What is that? It's a bassoon. Wow, it's amazing. And it's just a slam dunk because they're already there, hanging out. And there's a stage and there's a PA and we get it done. So that's sort of how we do 2 things wrong and 1 thing very right. We write music we shouldn't write. We give it to people we definitely should give it to. And then we drag it over and put it on in a place where it shouldn't be. And it works really well. So far, outside of just straight concerts, we also did a performance with a local painter named Joe Pagic, where we wrote pieces inspired by his paintings, and then he painted new paintings inspired by our music live on stage while we played the music. It was awesome, and he didn't know what paintings we were using for our inspiration, so they came out totally different. We also did, it's cool. We also did a live new original soundtrack for the Buster Keaton movie, The General. And we put this on at the Fox Theater last year with a 11-piece chamber orchestra playing in the pit while the movie played on the screen above us. And that was a lot of fun. It was our all original music. And if you haven't seen the movie, there's about 5 minutes of a love scene, there's about 10 minutes of running around the woods, and all the rest of it is a train chase. So it was exhausting. And that, folks, is ChamberLab in a nutshell. We're going to do one more piece for you. And thank you very much for having us. This is another one of the downtown suite pieces. It's called The Battered Grackle Knows No Fear.